Thanksgiving dinner always had a certain kind of racket, utensils clanging, folks chatting over each other, the buzz of strained joy. But that night, the racket halted suddenly. It occurred right after a fork struck my shoulder. It bounced off, landing with a metallic clang on my plate. I looked up, startled, only to see my sister Jessica's 7-year-old son, Aiden, glaring at me across the long, glittering table. He had that particular look kids get when they're saying something they've heard an adult say. Proud, certain too young to know how cruel it sounds. "Mum says you're the help," he said loudly, so everyone could hear. "She says that's why you don't have nice things like us." The entire dining room went still. The sound of crackling fire, the faint Christmas music playing in the background. Even those seemed to fade. For 2 full seconds, there was silence. Then, laughter broke through it like glass shattering. My brother-in-law Marcus was the first to laugh, loud and open-mouthed. My mother followed, her pearls shaking as she tried to hold back her giggles. Uncle Robert slapped the table and wheezed, and Jessica, my own sister, didn't even try to hide her smirk. "Aiden's sweetheart," she said, sipping her wine. "That's not a nice thing to say out loud." He frowned. "But you said it." "I know what I said," she replied smoothly. "Just eat your turkey." The laughter came again, easier this time, as if the tension had been funny all along. I looked around the table. 14 people, every branch of the family tree, all gathered around, polished wood and candlelight. Every single one of them either laughing or looking down at their plates, pretending not to. I took my napkin, folded it neatly, and placed it beside my plate. "Where are you going?" Mom asked between chuckles. "We haven't even had pie yet." I didn't answer. I just stood up, walked to the hallway, took my coat from the closet, and stepped out the front door. The cold November air hit me like a reset button. I stood on the porch for a moment, breathing it in before walking to my car. The house behind me glowed with warmth and light, laughter still spilling from its windows. Its dark it looked picture perfect, the kind of house people post online with captions like family, love, gratitude. I drove home in silence. At 10:34 p.m, my phone buzzed. "Jessica, seriously? You left because of a joke? Aiden's 7. He doesn't know any better." I stared at the message, my hand still on the phone. Of course, Aiden didn't know any better, because Jessica had taught him not to. She'd raised him to believe I was someone who existed to serve her, someone lower, someone less. A second message came through. "This is so typical of you, always making everything about yourself. It was Thanksgiving, and you ruined it by storming out." Then a third. "Know your place. We're family, but that doesn't mean we're equals. Some of us worked hard to get where we are." I read that one 3 times. Know your place. Then I went to my home office, turned on the lamp, and unlocked the bottom as a drawer of my filing cabinet. Inside was a thick folder labelled Jessica Property. I pulled it out and set it on the desk. Inside were the documents I'd kept carefully organised for the past 4 years. The private mortgage agreement, the promissory note, and deed of trust, all with my name listed as beneficiary. 4 years ago, Jessica and Marcus had been desperate. Their second baby was on the way and their credit score was wrecked. Marcus's failed business had left them buried in debt. They'd been rejected by 6 different banks, so they came to me, the little sister. The one they said never quite made it. I'd offered them a way out. I told them I would buy the house outright for, minus $2,400 a month, less than what they paid in rent. I told them that if they made 5 years of on-time payments, I'd let them refinance in their own names and buy the house at the same price. They'd been so grateful back then. Jessica had cried in my kitchen the day she signed the papers. "You're saving our lives, Nina," she'd said, hugging me. "I'll never forget this." But 4 years later, she had. She'd forgotten everything. The loan, the kindness, The terms. She'd convinced herself she owned that house, that she'd earned it. She told everyone I just helped with the down payment. The truth was right there in my hands. The mortgage contract included an acceleration clause. If the borrower was more than 30 days late, I had the right to call the entire remaining balance due immediately. Jessica and Marcus were 47 days late. I'd sent reminders. They'd ignored them. I opened my phone and typed a reply to Jessica's text. I do know my place. Check your mortgage documents. Her response came seconds later. What are you talking about? I didn't bother replying. Instead, I opened my laptop and drafted an email to my attorney. David, please prepare a notice of default and acceleration for the property at 847 Maple Ridge Drive. The borrowers are 47 days past due on their mortgage. Per our agreement, I'm calling the full balance $298,000 due within 10 days. File all necessary paperwork and begin foreclosure proceedings if payment is not received. Best Nina. I sent it at 11:43 p.m. by 6:15 a.m. I had a reply. Documents prepared. Courier will deliver notice to their address this morning and file with county by noon. Are you certain about this? I typed back, completely sure. At 6:47, my phone started ringing. Jessica, I let it go to voicemail. Then again, at 6:52, again, at 7:15, 7:30, Marcus texted, Nina, what the hell is going on? Our bank just called saying our mortgage is in default and the full amount is due in 10 days. This has to be a mistake. I replied, it's not a mistake. I'm your mortgage holder. You're 47 days late. I've called the loan due. A few minutes passed before he wrote back. You're what? Read the documents you signed 4 years ago. You don't have a bank mortgage. You have a private mortgage with me. I own your house. 3 minutes of silence. Then another message. This is insane. You can't do this over a stupid argument at Thanksgiving. This isn't about Thanksgiving. I wrote back. It's about 47 days of missed payments and years of being treated like the help by people living in a house I own. Jessica called again. This time I answered. Nina, please, she said, her voice shaking. This is crazy. We can't come up with $298,000 in 10 days. You should have thought about that before teaching your son to throw silverware at me. He's 7. Kids do stupid things. Kids repeat what they hear. I said quietly. He called me the help because that's what you call me, probably all the time. I never. She stopped. We both knew it was a lie. Jessica, I've been sending payment reminders for 47 days. I continued. You ignored every single one. You had time to host Thanksgiving for 14 people, but not time to make a payment. We've been tight on money. Marcus's business. Marcus just bought a boat, I said. I saw the pictures on Facebook. Silence. The notice of default will arrive this morning, I told her. You have 10 days to pay the full balance. Or I begin foreclosure. Those are your options. You're really going to make your niece and nephew homeless. You really dragged your children into this after teaching one of them to throw things at me? I hung up. By 9 a.m, I had 17 missed calls. Mum, Uncle Robert, even my cousin Jennifer, who hadn't spoken to me in 2 years. At 10:30, my mother showed up at my apartment. I watched her through the peephole for a full minute before opening the door. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into my living room. Hello, Mum. Don't. Hello, me, she snapped. Jessica's hysterical. She says you're foreclosing on her house because of a misunderstanding at Thanksgiving. It's not a misunderstanding, I said calmly. Aiden threw a fork at me and called me the help because that's what Jessica taught him. The entire table laughed. Then she texted me. Know your place. Mum waved her hand like she could brush it away. Jessica was upset. You know how she gets when she's been drinking. You can't throw her out of our house because of that. It's not her house, I said quietly. It's my house. She makes mortgage payments to me. Payments she's 47 days late on. My mother's face froze, confusion flickering behind her eyes. What are you talking about? I took a breath, steady and slow. 4 years ago, when Jessica couldn't get a mortgage, I said I bought her house outright. She's been paying me monthly. She's essentially my tenant with an option to buy. That's not... Jessica said you helped with the down payment. Jessica lied or convinced herself of a different story. But legally, I own that house. She's in default. I have every right to foreclose. Mom sat down heavily on my couch. I had no idea. Of course you didn't, because it was easier to believe I was the struggling one. The one who needed family charity? Meanwhile, I own a $385,000 house that Jessica lives in. Nah, you're being vindictive. Yes, what happened at Thanksgiving was wrong, but you're going to make your sister homeless to prove a point. I'm going to enforce a legal contract that she's been violating for 47 days while treating me like domestic staff. She doesn't treat you like Mom. She taught her son to call me the help. He threw a fork at me. She told me to know my place. When exactly do I get tossed and up for myself? My mother looked at their hands. What do you want? An apology? I want $298,000 in 10 days, or I want my house back. Those are the only two options. That's impossible. They don't have that kind of money. Then they should start packing. Mom stood up, her face hardening. You've become cruel, Nana. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the way you lost your compassion. I lost my compassion around the time my family started treating me like I was beneath them, while living in a house I provided. She left without another word. Day 3. After the notice, Jessica's lawyer called my lawyer. They wanted to negotiate. David called me with the offer. They can pay $50,000 immediately and resume monthly payments, including catching up on the late payments over 6 months. They're asking you to withdraw the acceleration. No, Nana, I have to advise you that foreclosure is expensive and time-consuming. If they're offering to cure the default, they had 47 days to cure the default. They had years to treat me with basic respect. The answer is no. It's your decision. But David, how many cases have you handled where someone had their family laugh? Well, I killed through silverware at them. He was quiet for a moment, point taken. I'll inform their counsel that the offer is rejected. Day 5, Marcus showed up at my office. Security call before letting him up. You can give him 5 minutes in the conference room, I told them, but E wants security present. Marcus looked haggarded when I entered the room. 2 security guards stood by the door. Nana, please, we'll lose everything. The house, our equity, our kids' stability. Jessica made a mistake. She's sorry, is she? Because she hasn't apologized. She sent lawyers, family members, and now you. But she hasn't said she's sorry. She's terrified. She doesn't know what to say. She knew exactly what to say when she texted me to know my place. Marcus put his head in his hands. We can't come up with $298,000. We can maybe scrape together $75,000 if we liquidate everything. Please, isn't there some way? Marcus, did you know she called me the help? Not just at Thanksgiving. Apparently, it's a regular thing. Did you know about that? He didn't answer. You did know. You've heard her say it, and you said nothing. Nah, I'm trying to keep my family in their home. Your family lived just fine in a rental before I bought them a house. They'll survive in a rental again. Maybe a smaller one this time. The kids will learn that actions have consequences, that you can't throw forks at people, that you can't treat family members like servants. Those are valuable lessons, Marcus. He left, the conference room without another word. Day 8. Jessica finally called, not to negotiate, not to threaten. She was crying. Nah, sorry. I'm so sorry. I've been horrible to you. You've been nothing but generous, and I treated you like that. Help. She sobbed. Yes, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe I couldn't accept that you were doing better than me. Maybe I needed to believe you were beneath me, because otherwise I'd have to admit it needed you. I sat in my apartment, phone pressed to my ear, listening to my sister cry. I taught Aiden to disrespect you, she continued. I made fun of you, tell me friends. I told everyone you were struggling when you were the one keeping us afloat. I'm a terrible person. Yes, I say it quietly. You was. I'm not foreclosing, Jessica. Silence on the other end. I'm restructuring your loan. You'll pay minus $2,400. That's the current missed payment spread over the remaining term. You'll pay on time every month, and at the end of 5 years, you can still buy the house from at the original price. Nina, I don't understand. I'm angry, I'm hurt. But I'm not cruel, and I don't want Aiden and Emma growing up in rentals because their mother was awful at Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm not finished. You're going to apologize to him in front of the entire family at Christmas dinner. You're going to explain what you did, what you said, and why it was wrong. You're going to tell everyone that I own your house and have been supporting you for 4 years. Nina, those are my terms. Monthly payments on time and a public apology, or the foreclosure proceeds. She was quiet for a long moment. Okay, I'll do it. And Jessica, if I ever hear you call me the help again, if I ever hear that Aiden has been taught to disrespect me, if you're ever even 1 day late on a payment, I won't hesitate next time. I understand. After we hung up, I called David and told him to withdraw the foreclosure proceedings and draft a new loan modification agreement. Then I sat in my apartment and pondered about Thanksgiving meal, about a fork striking my shoulder, about 14 folks chuckling, about knowing my spot. Some teachings cost $298,000 in worry and panic. Some teachings cost watching your sibling weep as she grasps who really holds the control. And some teachings are learned at Christmas meal in front of the entire clan. When the individual you labelled the help ends up being the one who possesses your house, the individual where you held forks at, the individual who could have seized everything but picked kindness instead, not because she was feeble, but because she recognised her spot, and her spot was beyond requiring payback.